refuse to. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make you feel good about it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having the filth of this world thrown in my face and I have to act like it's okay with Jesus. I'm sick of it. I won't pay for it. I won't listen to it. I won't put up with it. So, well, if you go someplace and you hear it, you hear it. Well, if I'm paying for the product, they're going to hear about it. So, some years back, Charlie's in high school. We're going through McDonald's after swim practice. We're pulling up the drive window, and the guy waiting on us is fine, but his friend that works there is just turning the air blue with filth. I pull up, say, hey, tell your friend behind you I don't like his language and I'm not buying anything here anymore. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it's too late to be sorry. You did it. I'm not putting up with it. Say, well, that's too hard. That's your business. I don't think it is. Maybe everyone else is just too soft with filth. I've recently had my own little thing with cancer. I didn't want anyone to treat my cancer like it didn't matter. I wanted them to be serious about it and aggressive with it. How many think that's a good idea? What do you think sin is? Sin's a cancer. Let's cut it out. This wonderful word, conclusion, which means nothing in a sermon. As the chapter closes, the Lord gives advice to his people. I like that, right? Here's an illustration, here's judgment, here's advice. We can work with that. Here's the problem, here's advice. He gives advice. If judgment is pending, do these things. We should rise up and pay attention when we see that. And so here we are, Jeremiah chapter 13. We're going to read verses 15 and 16. And we'll, in a little while, jump down to verse 22. It says, listen and pay attention. Don't be arrogant. The Lord has spoken. Honor the Lord your God before it gets dark, before your feet stumble on the mountains in the twilight. You will look for light, but the Lord will turn it into the shadow of death and change it into deep darkness. And I love that idea. Cling to God. Humble yourselves in his presence. Serve your purpose before him. And this idea of, the Lord, pay attention. The Lord has spoken. Take that seriously. Don't be dismissive of it. If you felt the conviction of the Holy Spirit this morning, don't write it off at lunch. Carry it with you. And that point, honor the Lord before it gets dark. How many times do people wait till it's pitch black and they start crying out to Jesus? That's not the best way. It's better than nothing. But, what isn't? So we humble ourselves, and so I'm just dealing, as we deal with this arrogance thing, if the world has to revolve around you, and you need to be the center of attention, how do you ever focus on God and worship him? If it's always about you, how do you worship God? And is it worship? If it's about how you feel and if it's about, you getting your kudos and your recognition and your pats on the back and your attaboys and feeling good about you, when is it ever you focused on him? I have to tell you, when you focus on Jesus, you stop being so important. And it's a good feeling. It's what you really want. Don't be arrogant. Drop your stubborn, prideful need to be right and good without changing. Honor the Lord before it gets dark. Things are worsening. Don't wait until you're desperate to honor God in your life. And how many times we all know those stories? We all know those stories of people that are desperate for help because they've dishonored God, and all of a sudden they're crying out and crying out and crying out. Sometimes those become legitimate salvation experiences, but a lot of times it's just people blowing smoke until the crisis passes. And we're supposed to pretend like there isn't a pattern. So, got to tell you, my psychology professor was an old Assembly of God pastor before in college, in bachelor's level. He was a Assembly of God preacher before he became a psychologist and was teaching psychology. And he's telling me the story, and he's a big man, and it's a great story. And this guy, he'd been giving his heart to Jesus and walking away, giving his heart to Jesus, walking away, and just playing that yo-yo game that people play. Finally, he gets down to the altar and sheds his crocodile tears and gives his heart to Jesus and all that stuff. And then he's sitting in the back, and Brother Anderson goes back and sits down beside him and says, "If God let me, I'd shoot you right now, today, so you can go to heaven, and then I'd repent. Because next week, you're going to fake it." The guy's stuck. He stayed with it. But I thought, man, I was in Bible college, and I was just getting ready to go into ministry for the first time, and now, 40 years later, I look at it and go, boy, I know what he meant. I know what he meant. I might not shoot you, but I've been tempted to pray for a fatal accident a time or two. I haven't. That's why you're here. Honor the Lord before it gets dark. So why is God taking this approach? When we read this message to his people that are designed to cling to him, think of the intimacy of that God wants his people clinging to him as closely as a belt clings to a person. Why is he taking such a strict approach with them? Because they've become too sinful. And cancer takes aggressive treatment. Jeremiah 13:22, if you ask yourself, why do these things happen to me? Nobody ever says, why me, do they? It's because you have so many sins. Your clothes have been torn off and your limbs are bare. And we come to this point that we cannot escape God's response to what God sees. Bow your heads with me, because we're going to face that last statement together. Search your heart as we're here in prayer, prayerfully thinking. And I want to repeat that. We cannot escape God's response to what God sees. You say, it feels good that he looks in the heart. Does it? Does it? If God only looked at what I did on the outside, it'd be a lot easier some days. He sees it all, doesn't he? We cannot escape God's response to what God sees. That's why we need Jesus. That's why we need forgiveness. That's why we need redemption. But it's time to stop minimizing our actions and our responsibilities in the kingdom. So, as our heads are bowed, I'm going to ask for a raising of hands. Some of you have been challenged and you realize, wow, I cry out in the darkness. and I walk away from the Lord when it's going well. I've been a yo-yo Christian, up, down, in and out, in and out. I'm going to serve him, I'm not going to serve him, I'm going to serve him, I'm not going to serve him. And ultimately what we're realizing is we've been children before the Lord, but not people. Raise your hand if you want to make it change. You're going to be serious. So Lord, I'm praying for those hands that have gone up all over this morning, that your Holy Spirit will make that stick. That with every confession we are saying, I am never giving up on my pursuit of Jesus. And that's always my advice for everyone. I don't care how many times you fall, get back on the path. But Lord, I pray for everyone that they will have an anointing to come out and be separate in Jesus' name. Amen. Lord bless you. Thanks for being here.